What is up, people? Hello. Welcome back to the stream. Thanks for joining. Happy Monday. It's time for us to do more punching. And so I haven't shown this to people for the last two streams I've been doing this, but here is what the front of my mini mat looks like so far. As you can see, there's a couple of ends here and there that I haven't really taken care of, but you know, I want to wait until those are more properly filled in before I go out and start snipping them. But yeah, the rest of the stuff is basically all snipped and poked into the right place, and it's coming along pretty nicely, as you can see. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish kind of the rest of this section here. Um, and then maybe punch the rest of this grass in. I think that's a pretty good plan. So let us continue. So let me flip this over to the front, or to the back, I should say, and we'll continue punching. So let's see. Just want to get this into the right place before we continue. Hopefully this shows up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna punch kind of the border of this next little house here. Maybe I should do this as well. And then I'll fill in this kind of tree section. But before I do that, give me 1 second. I wanna fix there. Just realized that my signal might be kind of choppy, so I figured opening my door would help with that. I don't know if that would work or if that's a bad idea, but anyways, let me just settle in and we can get started. So what I'd like to do here is punch this kind of edge here with some black. So we have our black yarn here. Thread it through. And we are going to start punching. So let's see. Just want to make sure that, okay, I think that's fine. Just wanted to make sure my camera angles are in the right place. I think they are good. I think everyone can see everything. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna punch this line right here. And I'm gonna do this using a stem stitch because I want the line to kind of show up and be completely like visible. And a stem stitch allows us to do that because the loops kind of end up looking like a tube. So just like this. Also, new developments for this stream because, why not give it a try now? This stream is also being streamed vertically, so there might be people watching this on their phones. I don't know how I feel about vertical streaming. I kind of just wanted to give it a try out just to see how it works. If maybe different people show up or whatever. Not that I'm upset about or dissatisfied with my current viewership. I'm very happy with everyone that shows up. Everyone's really nice and respectful, but you know what? I'm willing to give out, I'm willing to give vertical live streaming a try. So this is being simultaneously vertically streamed. And that's why I was being so careful with my angles because I was like, people need to be able to see what I'm doing vertically and horizontally. So so we got this done. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna do this little part here to the best of my abilities. So maybe I'll have to move it down a little bit, like so. And I might have to re-stretch this fabric just a tiny bit. Honestly, that's good enough. I'll just do like, I'll just do that little bit. I think that should be fine. So let me grab my yarn. I only have a little bit of this blue left, so I will likely have to alternate the colors between this one and like another color, which is totally fine, but yeah, just a warning. Or maybe I shouldn't even use this. I could use a different blue that I do have because I don't know if I'll have enough blue for the borders here. So maybe I'll use a different blue. Hold on. I have one right here that I can use. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just use this. I feel way better about using this. Okay. Let's let's keep going. We pivot. So, got our punch needle and our blue yarn. And I am going to start exactly where this little part ends. So, right there. And as you can see, I'm making 6 stitches per inch here for this part because it is the border of the house. I just wanted to show up very clearly. So 6 stitches per inch is my best bet for making that happen. There we go. The funny part about this yarn is that I have literally no idea where it's from. I don't remember if I used it in a project, if I had it dyed for a like if I dyed it myself for a project. I have no idea. Like I cannot remember for the life of me. But I have a bunch of it here, so okay. I think that's enough for now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave a big long tail of yarn, maybe like about this much here, and I'm gonna snip this off like literally right here. Slay. And I'm gonna take my punch needle out, take out this yarn, and literally just tuck it into my frame cover here. I just wanted to punch this little bit here so we had a little like space keeper for this green section. Once I move my rug on my frame, I'll be able to continue this part just by rethreading my needle with a bunch of with the leftover yarn that I have here. So there we go. And yeah, I'll probably have to do this as well. So let me grab like a color. I don't know what color. Let me see. What is that? Like probably red? Yeah, we'll need some red. So I will be right back. Literally, it'll take me like 2 seconds to grab this yarn. So we've got some red. And what I'll do is I'll just do the same thing that I did with this part right here. I'm just gonna punch a little bit like up like that, and then leave a tail of yarn. So let me thread my punch needle. Oh, keep in mind, folks, that I'm only using 2 punch needles here, the Oxford 10 regular, which I don't know if you'll be able to see that. You can kind of see it. The Oxford 10 regular and the Oxford 10 fine. They're the same loop height, they just have different thicknesses for different yarn weights. Because sometimes simple is best. So let me start like right there. There we go. And maybe what I'll have to do here is punch with my left hand up this curved edge. I was having some trouble last stream with punching with my left hand. Maybe, and I'm thinking it's maybe because of the way I was holding my needle. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm making a conscious effort this time around to hold my needle in my left hand the same way I do in my right hand, which is my dominant hand, just to see if that makes a difference. Just like that. Okay, so let's do the same thing that we did with this section here and just snip off some yarn. Then tuck it in to our frame cover. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, what I'd like to do is this part here. So this part is like a mix of dark and light green. Um, it's kind of just supposed to be like trees. So I'd like to punch that. So let me get all this other yarn out of the way, and I'll grab my dark and my light greens. Um, okay, so let me grab those. So we've got our dark green, we've got our light green. So let's start punching. I'm gonna have to use a mix of the regular and the fine needles for this just because these two are different yarn weights. But that's no big deal though. It makes a really cool texture on the other side. So let's take a look and see where we're at. So there we go. Oh, these stitches are in the wrong place. There, just like that. we go. Poke this end through to the other side, and we're going to continue all the way up like that. So, what I want is a little bit of light green and then more dark green up until here. So, what I'll probably have to do is grab some of this light green, thread my needle, and punch a little square here. So, something not super big, just like that. And then I can literally just snip off the end and then poke it through to the other side. Nice and simple. I want to then punch right until like where the slant starts at the roof with dark green again. So maybe I'll start up here instead. Or actually, it might be a better idea to be here, just because if we start here, then we'll have like three ends right beside each other, which is like, I'd rather avoid that, to be honest. So we'll start on this side. Oh, also, sorry if the lighting is kind of bad. We have we have horrible weather right now where I am. Just a lot of cold and a lot of snow, but hey, I think that's pretty I think that's an average Canadian winter. Unless you live in the Couve or somewhere else in the lower mainland. In which case, I think you're having a lot more fun than we are right now on the East Coast or on the eastern side. Okay, I think that looks good. So, what I'd like to do next is maybe I have to use a pencil for this and sketch out how I want this to look. So, kind of want this section to be dark, maybe a little bit further down, and then A little lighter, then darker, and then like a mix of dark and light. So we can do that. Also, if anyone has questions about what I'm doing right now, feel free to ask because I'm sure some people here are my subscribers, so they know punch needle, they know this craft, but I realize that a lot of people here just might be dropping in because they saw pretty colors on their screen and they were like, "Ooh, let me see." So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep yapping at you about whatever. For the most part, I'm not too worried about not having enough colors for something, unless it's for something that requires continuity, like a border like this one. But besides that, I'm not too worried because this is like a scrappy rug. It's made out of yarn scraps. It's completely made out of yarn scraps. So using like a variety of different colors and textures and whatnot, it's part of the it's part of the design. So yeah. Here we go. Snip off our yarn end and poke it through to the other side. We'll switch over to the lighter green and keep going. Maybe I'll start here-ish. I think that's a fine idea. Also, I might as well just use this time to share um, updates that I have on the big project that I'm supposed to release, the big video. No updates. I still haven't gotten anything back. I'm starting to wonder whether it'll ever happen, but I'm basically ready to release it. I mean, I'll need to film and edit the video footage, but I'm basically ready, so I'm just waiting on whoever. The governing body that I cannot tell you about. The higher body. So, I'm waiting on them. I wish the process could be a lot quicker, but I have a feeling that they're dealing with a lot more pressing matters right now than, you know, whatever I've whatever I've contacted them for. Hmm. well, right? I'm wondering whether I should do another. No, that would be a bad idea. I was thinking maybe I should do another row of stitches in here, but I think that would just make that section just too overcrowded. So, got that. And then our last little section here is just some more dark green. Hopefully this looks good. Here we go. And now we have this finished leaf section. So I'm thinking what we do now is we can do the sky. That's what I'm thinking. I have a bunch of yarns to do that, so let me grab those. So I have a bunch of these wacky looking blue yarns here for the sky, and here's what I'm thinking. And I would love some thoughts on this because I'm not too sure. I'm leaning towards it, but with convincing, I could also just not do it. So I was thinking for the sky, we punch the sky in a with a shorter loop height. So we punch the rest of this with the Oxford 10 regular and 10 fine, every single thing here. And for the sky, I'm thinking we do the Oxford 14 fine. So the smallest and shortest punch needle loop height. That's what I'm thinking. Or maybe the 13. The 13 also works. I kind of just want to go for it and see what happens. And I might just do that if no one stops me. So if no one has any feedback on that, I'm literally just I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna see what happens. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab my Oxford 14 or 13 fine. I think maybe 13 is the way to go. So this is my Oxford 13 fine. Let me compare it with the 10 fine just to show you the loop height difference. So yeah, 13 fine versus 10 fine. You can see the 10 fine is taller than the 13. So we're going to use this for the sky. And here's my idea. I'm literally thinking we just go around and around like this until we reach the top. Kind of outlining every single shape and every single building and tree and whatnot. I'm thinking we do that. So let me thread my punch needle and maybe maybe my uh rotate my frame so you can see exactly where I'm starting from. And I'm going to be starting right from this top little bit right here. So actually maybe I'm going to take this up. Maybe a lighter color would be better for this section. So maybe I'll use this and then I'll outline it with like the darker. Whoa, give me a second. I think there. Sorry about that. My camera froze. So this is better. This is better. I like this a lot more. So we'll start off with this very light blue. I do have some more of this fine blue yarn somewhere. I just need to go and find it. What I showed you earlier was just kind of the scraps, but I know I have like some larger bits here and there somewhere. I probably won't need to pull those out this stream, but definitely for next stream I'll need to bring those out. Oh, gonna unwind this. Jenny Graham says beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm glad you like it. The um the design of this rug is based off of an art piece from the Met Museum, and I've included a link to the original piece in the description of this live stream if you want to take a look. I've attempted to be as faithful as possible to the original, but I have made changes here and there. Things are slowly coming along. Okay, looks like I'm basically, yeah, I'm out of this color. I'm just gonna switch to a different one. Remem Reminder, folks, this is a kind of like a scrappy rug. We just want to use up the yarn that we have, just like that. Want to continue until we get to about there. I'm wondering if this space here might be an issue. Maybe, maybe we change course. Maybe we change course and we go up like so. Hello, Allison. Yes, more progress. A lot more progress, actually. We got this little tree background section done, and now I'm just working on the sky. I was just telling chat that I ran out of this original blue here and I'm using a different blue yarn, but like that's totally fine. This is a scrappy rug, like we're not we're not trying to um we're not trying to make it look absolutely perfect. We just want to use up all of the yarns that we have. Yes, the grass is done. Well, this part is done. I still need to do like the rest of this here, but yeah, this section is done. You could do with the sky what you did with the grass, a line here and there of other blues. Actually, that's kind of what I'm going for. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna use like a darker blue for the next time I go around this tree. Um, yeah, you got it down what I'm doing. Um, just the difference between the grass and then the sky is that the grass is completely like linear, just back and forth. The sky, outlining all of the trees and the buildings and everything like that, I think it would look kind of cool. So that's the only difference. But yeah, a line here and there is kind of what I'm going for. So you have a good eye. Let me rotate my frame here. There we go. My only mistake here was making this tree and this building so close together because punching the sky in between is a bit of a tight fit. I think I made it work, but I won't know for sure until I look at the other side. Are you not looking at the other side till you're done? Or are you looking but not showing us? I've been looking at it here and there, um, like after I punch a little bit at a time. At the beginning of the stream, I did show the front side, which which I've punched, which I've snipped and adjusted quite a bit, so there aren't any like weird or stray loops like that. Um, but I haven't been doing any snipping and poking live. I just felt bad about not showing anyone the front yet because I spent like 2 streams working on this and not showing anyone the front. So I was like, we're gonna start off the stream by showing the front and then we'll keep working. Yeah, feel free to rewind, take a look at the front. There are some unclipped ends and whatnot, but for the most part, you'll be able to see like how the front looks. Okay, I'm gonna flip this around again, and I will continue. Okay, so I've used up all of that yarn. Instead of continuing, maybe I'm thinking like go back to the beginning and use a darker yarn. So I might do that. But first, let me grab my scissors and poke all of the ends through to the other side. I know punch needle mostly uses wool, but how do other yarns do? I'm allergic to wool. Watching your hands resting on the wool of the design makes my hands itch. I guess I could wear gloves. Um, Other yarn works perfectly fine, you know. There are people who are allergic to wool. You can use other yarns. I've used cotton, I've used alpaca, I've used acrylic, polyester. You can use basically anything. The only thing is that if you're using a synthetic yarn, um, you'll have to be careful when you're hemming your work, when you're steam pressing it, because um, if your iron temperature is too high, you could melt your yarn, which is which would absolutely be so horrible. So that's the only thing, like if you're punching with synthetic yarns. But if you're punching with something like cotton or alpaca or whatever, you're fine. You know, funnily enough, the reason why I use wool is because it's the cheapest, which doesn't really make sense because you would think that a natural fiber is more expensive than a synthetic, but there are a lot of really great wool mills in Canada that make a lot of really cheap yarn. So I'm very lucky. And also, if I go to a place like Michael's or even Walmart or something like that, their acrylics are priced basically twice as much as the cost of like a skein of acrylic is twice as much as a cost of like wool from like an independent wool mill. So it's basically a rip off. So I tend to buy wool, but you know, if you're allergic or whatever, like acrylic is fine, cotton is fine, polyester is fine, alpaca is fine, bamboo is fine if you have bamboo yarn. Um, just test it out with your punch needle and see how it works. Um, Also, if you do traditional rug hooking, you can also use like rug hooking strips of fabric in your punch needles. So if you do that as well, you can use those. Granted, those fabric strips that are used in traditional rug hooking are wool, but if you do have those around, you can use those. Honestly, you can punch needle with just about anything. There's another Oxford certified instructor. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but her work is featured in Amy Oxford's book on advanced punch needle techniques, and she made a piece where she punch needled with plastic bags. So she cut them up into strips like yarn, and then she threaded them through her punch needle and she punched, and they looked kind of cool. So Something I've always wanted to do, but I haven't had a chance yet is, well, let me explain. In Canada, at least in Eastern Canada, for those of you that aren't any that for those of you that are non-Canadians in the chat right now, in Canada, you can buy milk in bags. So you buy a big bag, and there's three little bags in that big bag. And what you do is you have like a milk bag holder, and you put the smaller milk bag in the holder, and then you snip off a corner, and then that's how you get your milk. And something that I've always wanted to do was use like punch needle with the milk bags. So wash them, dry them out, cut them up into strips, and then punch with them because you can get like a bunch of different colors depending on the brand. So you could get like a clear white, or you could get like a translucent blue or green or whatever. And I thought it would be really cool and funny to punch needle with those, but I haven't had a chance to do that yet. So if anyone wants to steal that idea, you have my permission. And also, I do have to say Eastern Canada for the milk bag stuff. I had to specify it because apparently on the West Coast, they don't have milk bags. They get their milk in like a carton or like a jug, which I don't know how I feel about that. The only time I get milk in a jug is if I'm getting chocolate milk, but otherwise, do a farm scene with cows. Oh, do you mean punch a farm scene? Um, I like that idea. Honestly, I tend to avoid like doing animals and things like that. The big exception was my punch needle certification rug where I punch needled an elephant, but I do like cows. I really like cows, so maybe. Cows and sheep. I like that idea, Allison. And I can use the milk bags. Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking, yeah. I think that'd be a really fun idea, but then that would mean I'd have to like, if I want, like, a variety of colors, I'd have to buy a bunch of different milks, and can I be so honest? Can I be so honest with you right now? I I don't like milk. Like, I like chocolate milk by itself, but I don't like regular milk by itself. Like, I think some of the weirdest people in the world to me are the people that sit down for, family dinner or whatever, and they have their dinner, and beside their dinner, they have a tall glass of milk. No, I think that's like I think that's I think that's so weird. So what maybe a better idea is go around to like my neighbors or people that I know and ask them for their milk bags and then punch needle with those. Because the only time I don't ever drink milk like by itself. I put it in like my oatmeal in the morning, but like I put it in with my oatmeal with like cinnamon and maple syrup. So you don't really taste any of the milk. But yeah, that's my rant for the day. That was my dad. Personally, I only use milk on cereal. Yeah. My childhood best friend, oh my gosh, um, she and her family were those people. They drank like 3 glasses of milk a day, 1 at breakfast, 1 after school, and then 1 at dinner time. And oh my god, I love my childhood best friend. She's the best, but every time I would uh every time I would go to her house and her parents would offer me milk, I it was just me like very politely declining and saying, "No, thank you. I don't want it." Actually, maybe the only time I drank milk, like, with a meal was in when I was in elementary school, so this is close to maybe, like, 15, 20 years ago. Um, there was this program going on, which I think still exists today, where, like, kids can get, like, a carton of milk every day during lunchtime, um, and, your parents could, like, order it for you, you could, like, send in a little form, but, I remember a couple of times my parents did that for me as a kid, but never with white milk, just chocolate. But yeah, my elementary school had a bunch of weird little programs like that. I remember one year that I don't know I don't know how this happened, but every single classroom would have apples, like just like apples for anyone to eat, which I thought was really funny. I mean, it's not a bad idea to, like, get kids to eat fruit at lunch and whatever, encouraging healthy eating, but it was just funny, like, um, walking, in the hallway and then seeing, like, classrooms with just, like, a basket of apples at the front. When I was in elementary school, my mom paid the 25 cents extra per day so I could get chocolate milk. That's nice. Yeah, it was like so I guess, like, that so I guess, like, something similar was happening, like, for a while now, like, the milk program is like a it's an established thing, I guess. I remember chocolate and white milk were, like, the exact same price, so my parents were like, "Okay, let her have chocolate." Because my parents were, I wouldn't describe them as, like, health nuts or anything, but, if we bought something, they'd read, like, the ingredients list. Um, we rarely had junk food at home. like whatever junk food that could be bought, like my mom would try making at home. So like, cookies and whatever. Which honestly wasn't so bad in the long run because I do think I'm healthier than most of my classmates. But people seem to have all these sorts of ideas when I tell them about my parents, and they make up things. They're like, "Oh my God, Vrinda, you never had Halloween candy or whatever." No, that's not true. I went trick or treating every year. My parents never policed my candy usage or my candy consumption. Though I will say, my mom did take a lot of my O. Henrys. My O. Henrys and my coffee crisps, my mom would take all of those. Mostly because I didn't like them, but she loved those. Or like I wasn't allowed birthday cake or something like that. People would people would say things like that. Like, I heard you weren't allowed to have a birthday cake. I heard you weren't allowed to like eat candy canes at Christmas. None of this is true. My mom took the Milky Way bars. Do we have Milky Way in Canada? Maybe we do. It might be a different name here. I've heard the name Milky Way, but I don't think I've ever had a Milky Way unless, like I said, the name is different in Canada. I had this idea that I was discussing with my friends, and I think I think if someone made this would be this would make a lot of money. Um, for those of us that can't really go trick or treating anymore for whatever reason, um, we've aged out of it or, whatever. I had this idea where, or actually, I should specify this people who've aged out of trick or treating but still miss eating Halloween candy, like, just like sell like a mixed bag of candy. And I know what you're gonna say, like, you could buy that at the store or whatever. No, you can't. Because you can buy things that are from a specific brand. So you can buy like Mars company, like candy bars. So you could buy like Mars bars, you could buy like Reese's candy, like Reese's peanut butter cups and whatever. Um, you can buy Crunch bars, and they're all in that same packet. But you can't buy like a Mars bar and a Kit Kat and a Jolly Rancher in the same bag. So I think someone could make a lot of money by just buying like a variety pack of like every single candy, making a random grab bag, like a trick or treat bag, and selling it to adults. Selling it to adults who miss trick or treating. Like I would pay money for that. Because otherwise I never get to eat Halloween candy. And the fun for me personally, it was not just in like the trick or treating and eating the candy. It was like the variety of candy that you got because like you'd go to like hundreds of houses in one night. Not everyone would be like giving out the exact same thing. And it was always fun when you got to the house where where they're where they'd be giving out like full size candy bars, which we did sometimes, which was always fun. But or if they gave away like weird exotic candies. And so like a fun part about Halloween for me was throwing like dumping out my entire bag of candy and then sorting it all out and seeing like the statistics broken down of how many candies I got, which ones were chocolates, which ones were Kit Kats, which ones were candies, which ones were lollipops. The last couple of years I lived in a house, I also had non-candy options for the kids that couldn't have it. Things like pencils, stickers, bouncy balls. Every kid could have everything. That's awesome. Those were always the most fun houses to visit when I was a kid. Like when you'd get something that wasn't candy, but it was also like some other like cool item. And you'd go to school the next day and you'd ask your classmates, "Oh, did you visit that house with with the the pencils and the toys and whatever?" Because we all lived in the same neighborhood, and so we would all like you would either be trick or treating together, or you'd see each other trick or treating, or you'd visit your like your classmates' houses while trick or treating. So I mean, yeah, there are times where kids can't have candy for whatever reason. So having something else is it's nice. It makes everyone feel included. Oh, yay, my my camera's frozen again. Great. Um, okay, we're back. So I'm gonna poke all of these ends in, and then I think I'll be done for today. Okay, so it looks like we're done for today. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll probably go live. I keep saying that I'll go live during the week, but then I end up just streaming like the next Monday, which is which is not which isn't great. So I'm gonna try and stream. I'll try and stream one other time this week at least. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday, but one of those days I'll try to go live. Um, and I'm gonna snip and poke my yarn ends around on the front of the rug. And then the next time I go live, I'll show you how the front of the rug looks again with all of this new stuff that we've punched. So, yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you have a nice day. Um, Thank you so much, Allison. I'm glad that I'm glad that you enjoy watching my streams. Hopefully I can go live again on another day this week, but until then, I'll be signing off and I will see you guys hopefully this week for another time. But yeah, thanks so much for watching.